Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing the NECA Toys Labscape Fugitive Predator from The Predator, the 2018 film. When this figure went up for pre-order some months ago, it actually wasn't too well received by the community, at least from what I saw. Basically people were saying it doesn't really look too proportionate. Essentially the arms looked kind of skinny, a little bit weak. The thighs seemed stick-like, if you want to call it that, and just the upper body seemed really flat. Because usually predators are pretty buff, or at least we perceive it as such when they have all that armor on. Usually they have a lot of armor on. When I first saw this figure for pre-order, I was kind of agreeing with people. It didn't look too accurate to the film, and even in person now it's a little bit off, but I was still looking forward to it, and not only because of the LED feature, and this is the first Predator to actually have one besides the 1/4 scale stuff, but I'm also a completionist and I want every Predator from every scene, so I was gonna pick it up regardless. I'm happy to say that in person it's a lot better than in photos when it was first shown off, but it still has its issues, but I'll get into that later. And I also have a slight gripe with the feet on mine. I don't think they were molded correctly, and I haven't watched reviews on this guy, so I don't know if other people have this problem. Comment down below if you do, but mine were just molded to look fat and swollen or something. It's very odd, but before I go on to ramble more, let's get into the review. Alrighty, so the box really is pretty cool, actually. It's probably one of my favorite boxes out of all the Ultimate stuff I have, just because it's so unique. I think this is based off the first poster when the movie was finally announced. You could tell it's just streaks of lightning made to look like the biomask and dreads of the Fugitive Predator, and I just thought it was so flippin' unique, and I'm glad they went for this one. I thought it would never even be touched, but that's such a cool box. I actually keep this one on display on the shelf. But yeah, so you have a little city background there, obviously lightning streaks all around, got some clouds up there. Says the Predator in the typical The Predator packaging, and the sides just say the Predator, you know, Labscape Fugitive Predator. The sides continue that poster, and the back pretty much shows all these different shots of the Fugitive Predator with the LED features, the shuriken, the battle damage mask, and just him kicking ass, and a bio. So if you want to read that, go ahead and pause. And actually this has a flap to open up, so there on the inner flap is a really cool image of Fugitive Predator. Got a bit of a lab I mean, is that a diorama? I don't know. Actually, I think it's just a photo. But yeah, he's holding the assault rifle and stuff. It looks pretty cool. And this is where you would see the figure and the city background stuff that we see with a lot of the figures in this line. And for you nitpickers out there, here is the top and here is the bottom with the barcode and stuff. Alrighty, and here's the figure out of the packaging. I did remove the assault rifle and the extra hands, so I just have him in a neutral position with the fists and the just the unmasked head sculpt. So I'm going to give a quick 360 while I talk about this. Like I mentioned earlier in the review, it's not as bad as in person as it is in the photos. In the photos, yeah, he did look really skinny and unproportioned, but here in person it's a lot better. By no means is it perfect. I still have some gripes besides the molds that they did for the feet. You can tell that, I don't know, the arms look really long, and I think the reason because of that is the double jointed elbows. Usually the armor compensates for those. It makes them look beefier, and you don't really notice the length, but yeah, when he's armorless, the elbow joints, they kind of stick out, make it pretty long, but it's not too bad. And I actually went back to revisit the film. Yeah, in the film I'd say he was a little bit buffer, not so much in the arms, but actually in the chest section here and the abs. Here I think it's just a little bit too flat, and in the film he just seemed beefier. As far as the legs go, again, people were saying that, hey, he kind of has stick legs, and I agree to a degree. That rhymes. Okay. Yeah, it does look a little bit weird, but again, I think it's just because the armor isn't on, because if you compare him to the regular Fugitive Predator, the armored one, they're pretty much the same legs. Usually he has these pads on either side, so it just looks odd without them, but in general, I think he looks fantastic, and I'm really, really happy to have him. Interestingly enough, he's probably one of my more preferred figures out of the wave, or out of the Predator series, the 2018 movie series, just because he's so unique. He's there's no armor on him. It's interesting to look at, and honestly, the head sculpt, the closed mandibles that they chose, it's super movie accurate. I love it so much. But let's take a closer look. So speaking of the head sculpt, like I mentioned, I really, really like it. If you go back and watch the film, it's pretty damn spot on. This Predator, the Fugitive Predator, when he's not speaking or roaring and he has closed mandibles, they're really kind of pushed together, and you don't see the inside of his gums too much like you would on normal other Predators. Usually they're kind of outwards, but yeah, he's a little bit different, and I really like that design choice. And the teeth are painted pretty damn well. You got this beige bone color with some gray shading. You can see a little bit of the gums in there. They're kind of like a pinkish purple, and you do have some teeth in there as well. It's just tough to see. The eyes are painted really, really well on mine. I don't think I have any bleeding in there whatsoever. And that's impressive considering how tiny they are and sunk into the head. So I'm glad they came out pretty damn well. And overall, the head sculpt is just beautifully painted. I love the shading of orange and red that they chose for these cheeks here. You can see all the wrinkles are molded in, even on the mandibles. And here you got some different shades of red and very, very, I don't know if that's a yellow or a beige, and you got some glossy black, and the top of the head is pretty glossy in general, and I like all the spots that they painted on as well. It's so flippin' well done, and man, like, again, super movie accurate. I think they did a great job on this one. The same with the Assassin Predator. That one was super movie accurate too, especially with the closed mandibles. They just do that so well. The dreadlocks are a little bit different than other Predators. Usually with Predators, they're really smooth and almost like cylinders, but here they're more pointed and sharper, and you do have the beads or the clips, whatever you want to call them. Some nice silver painting, and all of them should be individually made. Yep. So it looks pretty damn good, and you know, you can work with them, put them across his shoulder, whatever you want to do. I kind of like to put them back a little bit, but head sculpt, man, A+, and there's the bottom. That's also really, really well done. I'm gushing over these figures. Again, I'm a completionist, so I love flipping all the Predators from all the different scenes, but the reason I'm not going too harsh on this one's actually because I don't have any real QC issues minus the feet, so I'm kind to NECA today, but you're not off the hook with some others, NECA. I'm watching ya. And that same paint scheme runs across the entire body, and I'm really, really impressed with all the stuff that's sculpted in here. It's crazy to think about how much detail is in here, because usually it has, you know, Predators are all armored up, so you don't see a lot of their body, so it's interesting to see how they actually look. And yeah, again, it's a little bit flat. I would have liked for him to be beefier, but I can live with it. You could see that they did sculpt in some abs here. You got some muscle definition on the sides a little bit. Let's move the arms out of the way. Got some nice orange and red. I like all these streaks of red, especially here on the abs as well. Even have some wrinkles down toward the crotch, which is interesting. I really like the chest as well. Looks pretty cool. You got these lines across them. Looks like muscle fibers almost. And I just like all these different wrinkles that they molded into the body, especially on the shoulders here, to make him look really, really defined. Again, this is not necessarily a buff figure, but he's super duper toned. He's a runner. Okay, he runs marathons with like 0 fat on this guy. As predators should be. They're hunters. They gotta keep in shape. But yeah, so there's more of the muscle. Got the tricep here. Got some wrinkles on the elbow. A little bit of gray as well, which is pretty interesting. The back is also sculpted beautifully. I like all the scales here. They almost look like leaves in a way, at least in person. Like these streaks of leaves, and you got a little bit of the spine right there, and all these wrinkles and everything. It's really, really impressive. And even on the forearms, which, yeah, are a tiny bit skinny, but I think it just looks that way because of the lack of armor. And there are the nails there. Put in some decent paint on the hands, and man, I just love this glossy paint job. Oh, it's so cool. Here's the crotch piece, which should, I mean, it should look pretty familiar. It's basically the same as the past Fugitive Predator. You do have the shurikens here kind of stored on his belt. You have the chainmail armor and this leather piece right here. It is a little bit pliable as well, so when you want to put them in some poses, it shouldn't be too restrictive. And more of that chainmail armor continues across his butt over here. And this is a really cool piece as well. I like the designs on these, I guess these squares, whatever you want to call it. And it's a little, I mean, I don't know, because again, I didn't watch any reviews on this guy. Let me know if yours has these little gray spots and these just tiny scratches. I'm not certain if it's supposed to be technically battle damaged, or, well, not necessarily battle damaged, just it looks used. So I don't know if that's deliberate. Let me know. Mine's a little bit weird right here. I wish it was flatter right here so it stays, because it looks like he just has a massive behind. It doesn't bother me too much. It'd be nice if it was kind of flatter, but what can you do? I can live with it. And here are the legs. I love the paint they used here. You got obviously that beige color of the skin, a lot of black shading, the net detail, which is pretty spot on. You even have some spots on the inner thigh there, which is pretty sweet. Here's the back. It'd be nice if these were painted a little better, the joints. Usually NECA takes care of those, but I guess on this one, kind of slipped their radar. But it's on the back, so it's not as big of a problem to me. It's more so these here, which this one's okay. This one's really, really bright compared to the other skin tone. But anyway, moving down on the legs. So as I've said, this should look familiar to what we've seen before. It has, I believe, a slightly different paint job than the original Fugitive. I'll compare them later, but you have that chainmail armor, those leather straps, that's a really bright joint, and nice gold and silver. It looks decent. I like it. Not too bad. The feet is what is the problem here. And it doesn't look too bad at the moment, just because I'm not comparing it to anything, but later in the review you'll see what I mean. They're just really plumpy and fat. They don't look as defined as they did on the previous Fugitive Predators, so as I've said, I'll show that later. But I like the paint work. Nails are painted black. All of that is done pretty well, and he does have peg holes at the bottom. So, but luckily this guy, he stands pretty well. I haven't really had him fall on me. So, and mine does not have any loose joints actually, so I don't know if yours is going to be like that. You know, it's NECA. QC is just their favorite thing, but I turned out pretty lucky on mine actually, so I'm happy about that. But let's just move into some articulation. Alrighty, so the articulation on this guy should be pretty good. The head, like most Predators, can look up pretty far. It's on a ball joint, so it's decent. It can go down that much, can move left and right, wobble, and you technically can do the 360. It's very easy considering these are very manipulative and pliable, so you shouldn't have any trouble there. So you can do some pretty interesting poses with this guy. Man, I just like the look of that. I don't know why I'm gushing on this figure out of all of them, because this is the one that is supposed to be poorly received, but I don't know, I like it for some reason. It's odd. Anyway, the shoulders can go 360 out pretty dang far in that much. As I've said, double jointed elbows, so let's show that. Be a little bit careful. Mine are pretty tight. Yeah, like I said, mine are a bit tight, but they do the job. Let's see how much better they are on this one. Oh, that one's a little bit better. Yeah. I don't like doing that too often though, because these are really skinny joints, and it does swivel there, and it does do a 360 here, and the hands can move 360 and go out and in on a hinge. So arms are good, like most Predators these days. He has a lot of movement on the diaphragm, so he can go back that much, forward pretty far, side to side, left and right. Can technically do a 360, but I don't recommend it. The crotch joint, I don't know what to call this bottom one. It can go back pretty dang far and a little bit forward, just that much, side to side, left and right. So you get a lot of movement here. A ton of movement. Okay, the legs can go forward that much. Again, it's pretty pliable up here. Back that much. He can do the Predator splits, which looks very awkward on him. My joint right here is super tight, so I want to be a little bit careful. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee. Just again, be cautious because mine has tight joints. But I prefer tight joints over loose joints, and you know, the feet can go for that much, ankle pivot. They're on ball joints, so they'll work with you. They will work with you. This guy shouldn't be too surprising as far as articulation goes. As I've mentioned, it's pretty much a mold we're used to. We already got Fugitive Predator plus the armored one plus the thermal vision version, so shouldn't be too surprising, folks. Okay, as for size, he is just about under, I'd say, 9 inches. So there you go. Let's do some comparisons now. So let's show him off with his counterparts. I have the regular Fugitive right here, which tends to fall on me occasionally. The ankle joints aren't the best. And here we have Thermal Vision Fugitive Predator, whose plasma caster does not want to stay straight. Again, loose joints, and he falls a lot, but there you go. So yeah, looks like I was right about the legs here. Looks like those are painted very slightly differently than those. I feel like this one is darker, and it's not because of the light, it's actually darker in person, so I don't know why they did that. And like I said, the legs should look familiar. They're pretty much the same. And again, the arms also should look the same. I just think it's weirdly proportioned because it doesn't have so much armor, because the arms are the same length, and this one does have the double jointed elbows, as does this one, which is pretty much the exact same figure, only painted radically different. So I love these guys. I'm glad they even made this one. I thought it was cool to have. I think that one was a Target exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm happy. But we are not done. Let's put him next to Emissary number 2 and Emissary number 1, and oh, they look so cool. These reviews should be coming. I'll be doing a joint review. Oh, it's so cool looking. I love that they made those two. It just looks so flippin' cool together. And to finish it off, let us put him next to the big guy, which is, of course, Assassin Predator, who towers over pretty much everybody here. And let's do a family photo. Let's do that. I like family photos, don't you? I love them because we have completed the line. So let's zoom out now, or move the camera back. And look at that, a lovely family photo. So yeah, I did collect the whole line. I might do a video on my overall thoughts of all these guys, but we did it, folks. We did it. And as I've said, reviews for these final two should be on the way pretty soon. And here he is next to my alpaca. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the accessories, and these accessories are pretty much the reason why a lot of people actually bought this particular figure. He comes with some pretty cool stuff. Obviously, we have the LED light helmet, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's start off with the boring stuff. We do have a pair of open hands that I do like to use when he's using the assault rifle. So these are no different than, you know, anything we've gotten before. Some nice paint and stuff. I think he came packaged with these. It was technically the fists that were the alternate hands, but you catch my drift. He comes with a shuriken right here, which is plastic and very, very flimsy. Again, shouldn't be any different than what we have gotten in the past, just solid silver. And of course it fell, because it's so flimsy. I actually have not broken any of these so far. I'm probably a very lucky human. And a trigger finger hand for the assault rifle, which looks pretty decent. And of course the assault rifle itself, which I mean, I'd say it's pretty well done. It's just a solid color, just black, and it's just based off the weapons that the soldiers use, so it's really nothing too fancy. To tell you the truth, I'm not much of a gun expert. I don't know what to call this besides an assault rifle, so if you know, go ahead and let me know, because I don't. And I thought the magazine could remove, I guess not. Oh well, I don't really care, to tell you the truth. This is a pretty cool accessory that I'm glad they included. The battle damaged biomask that the main protagonist picked up, and it looks pretty cool. Yeah, it has some battle damage right there, which looks really, really nice. And the paintwork is beautifully done. Absolutely love that they included this. I'm definitely going to be keeping this on display, and they even sculpted the inner mask, which again looks very, very well done. So I'm glad they included it with this guy. I really am, because it was a cool piece. And the main attraction, the helmet with LED lights. It should look no different than the one we just looked at. Obviously no battle damage, but you got some sculpting in there. But let's check out that main attraction. Just push down on this, and voila! You get a nice red glow, and it looks so cool. It makes me wonder why they put this helmet alongside this figure. It would have made more sense to have it with the armored one, but I guess he does technically put this on for a moment in the lab, but still, I think it's cool. And with any Predator, just put it on using the ball joint. This part should come as no surprise. Just carefully twist off the head. It's kind of tight on mine, but it'll come off eventually. And take this one here and do what you need to do. Okay, and there he is, and I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look that cool. Just because it looks so odd on a naked Predator, and the dreadlocks are slicked back. I gotta work with them to even make them look decent, but it looks weird on a really, really skinny Predator. But if you do own the regular Fugitive Predator right here, you can pretty much do the same thing. So let me pop that on really quick, and voila, that looks epic. I love this so much. I'm very puzzled why they didn't include this one with this figure, but I don't care. I was going to pick up the Lab Escape anyway, but I know that not everybody's a completionist, so it's very kind of just odd that they didn't include this with the armored one, because why would you put this on the naked one? I mean, I don't know. It's not really too big of a deal to me, again, because I'm a completionist, but of course there are folks out there who are just cherry picking. And NECA, I don't know why you did that. That's very odd. Same with the shuriken. I don't know why you included it with this one of all of them. But anyway, here we are. So the LEDs look pretty dang good. Definitely like it a lot. I just gotta find a blast effect for the plasma caster here. I think I have some that might be able to fit it, and it should look pretty dang cool. Honestly, I wish you can actually put this one on. That'd be pretty cool, because it doesn't really, obviously doesn't fit on the unmasked head, but it's not too big of a deal. I'll just put this on display or something. So I'm happy with this. Of course, it's not the figure we're reviewing, but it sure as hell looks good on this one, so I'm very happy. Honestly, I'll probably leave this head on this figure. I gotta mess around with the dreadlocks a little bit, because again, it's slicked back. It was like that in the box, but oh, it looks so cool. So I'm happy with it. Okay, so I did pop on the trigger finger hand for this Predator, and I mean, there's a couple things you can do with it. Obviously, you can make him hold the assault rifle, and it'll fit pretty snug. Just be careful. You kind of have to just work with it. You don't want to bend the finger the wrong way. And there we are. So it fits very, very snug. It's a little bit tight, but it will do what you need it to do. Just be careful, because I think I already chipped a little bit of paint on the nail. And I mean, it looks good. It looks proportionate, because obviously human guns would be a lot smaller than for the Predator because of his size. So I think it works pretty well. I like it. And so, as I've mentioned, this hand can do a couple of things, but it's just a little weird that they didn't include a special hand to hold both the biomask and the shuriken. So let me pop this off for a quick minute. It comes out easily, and let's try and put the shuriken into place, and let's be careful. So yeah, I mean, I guess you can kind of just slip the finger in there or something, make it look like he's throwing it, but usually Predators come with a special hand for that, so I'm not really 100% sure why they just didn't include that hand. That kind of sucks, because it just looks weird, I guess, for like a throwing pose, but I don't know if I don't really do action poses for the Predators just because of space. I kind of like to keep them in neutral positions, but if I do have the shuriken with them, they're kind of just normally holding it, looking badass. So I wish we would have gotten a different hand for this, but let me pop this off, and oh so carefully, because it's so brittle and I really don't want to break it and break my streak of not breaking shurikens. But here, the biomask, I mean, you can't really hold it, to be honest with you. Let me do this off camera to see if it's even possible. So yeah, I guess it is. It's just, I don't know. I wish they would have included a special hand for it. Because of the trigger finger, it just looks odd. I mean, it's not, I guess it's not too bad on this one. It's decent. And man, that actually looks kind of cool when he's just looking at it. But there should have been more hands included, considering this is an ultimate figure, and lately NECA just hasn't been giving the correct hands for certain accessories. Man, that looks cool. I don't know why they really need to, because it's not like these can hold it, but I don't know. It's odd. For what it's worth, this actually looks pretty cool. I might even keep him like this. It looks really interesting. Actually, the way I'm probably just gonna pose him is with the assault rifle, but still, NECA, you are not off the hook, gentlemen. Randy, I'm watching you. I kind of like to, I'm trying to be super honest in my reviews, because I see all these big channels reviewing all these Predators, and to be honest, they're just gushing over it like I am, but a lot of them just don't tell you what's up about the cons, and he has a few, and this is definitely one of them. So my rant is over, and we have reached the end of the review, folks, and it is time I answer your question. What do you do with this figure? Do you buy it or do you pass on it? personally, and I like to mention this in every review I do, I'm a completionist, so I'm going to get it regardless. But for what it's worth, I actually really like this figure. A ton more than I was expecting. As I've said, in the pre-order photos, it looked really odd, and it's definitely not perfect in person. It could have been, I think, a little bit beefier, but I think it's decent, and I personally think it's worth a pickup. The LED lights are really cool, even though they should have come with the previous Predator. And now that I'm actually looking at that previous Predator, the paint on his biomask was it wasn't glossy like this new one, so it doesn't even fit the paint job, which kind of blows. So just keep that in mind. But if you are a completionist like me, I definitely recommend this figure. It'll look great in the collection, and he's got some pretty good detail. I love the head sculpt. The accessories are pretty cool, even though they don't really make sense with this figure besides the assault rifle. And it's just interesting to have a Predator like this. It's just odd. So he definitely stands out on you. He would stand out on your shelf as he does with mine. So if you see him, pick him up, but let me know what you plan to do with this. As always, folks, go check out the Sanctuary on Facebook and YouTube, and Trophy Room on Facebook. Alien Predator community, go check them out. So if you like the franchises, post about it. I don't care. And as always, folks, have a good morning, evening, midday, whatever, and take care.